Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, smash the like button on this video. Guys, I've uploaded a Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez video. Go smash the like button on that as well, please. Watch that video as well. It's a good video. Guys, there's some weird reports coming out. Michael Benson reported that Canelo Alvarez's next opponent is going to shock a lot of people. What do they mean by that? Is he going to be fighting Jake Paul? Canelo Alvarez's next opponent is going to shock us all. The boxing purists may not be happy with Canelo Alvarez's next opponent, according to one of the reporters. I think it was in Mexico, a Mexican reporter. I was trying to think, who could it be? You know, there was talks about him fighting Jamal Charlo. You know what? These guys like Mayweather, Canelo, it's always a fascination to see who they're going to fight. And they kind of keep us in suspense for so long. Like, look at what happened with the Canelo, Plant situation. We thought he was going to fight Plant, then he wasn't going to fight Plant, then he was going to fight Bivol, then he wasn't going to fight Bivol, then he fought Plant. It's like they keep us in suspense. They keep us hanging on, don't they? These big cash cow fighters, they keep us hanging on to who they're going to fight. But I'm confused when that came out, because I think people will be very happy with him fighting Jamal Charlo. But when that report came out yesterday, I'm thinking, who could it be? Is it going to be Joe Smith? Because I don't think people would be that happy with that fight. But it's a champion at 175, but I still don't think people are going to be too happy with that particular fight. But then it just makes me think, who could it be? Who would the boxing fans not be happy with? Like, that rules out Beterbiev. It probably rules out Bivol. I'm trying to think of the weaker guys. Like, people will definitely be happy if he fights Andrade, Benavidez, or Charlo. So I'm trying to think out. Is it Makabu? I don't know. I don't know who it could be. Who wouldn't the boxing fans? Who wouldn't you guys be happy if Canelo fights? I know some of you are such big Canelo fans. You don't care who he fights. You'll just be happy with it. But what makes you? Who's going to be his next fight? Is it going to be Jake Paul? Who's it? I don't get it. Like, why are we not going to be happy with his next fight? The guy that he fights next. I'll definitely be happy with Jamal Charlo. I'll tell you that. If he fights Jamal Charlo, I'll be more than happy with that fight. More than happy with that fight. Would I be happy with Makabu? Not really. I'm not that interested in the Makabu fight, if I'm brutally honest. Yeah, I'm not interested in that at all, to be brutally honest. I wouldn't mind it. I think I wouldn't mind it just for the sense that Canelo, wants to be a 5-weight world champion, fair enough, but I wouldn't be that interested. It won't be interested, but I wouldn't be that, like, overly joyful about it. It wouldn't be one of my preferences. I prefer Canelo to fight, the guys in around his weight class. But I'm just trying to think, who could it be, guys? I don't understand. Is it just a dart that's been put out there for us, just like, and then there's no validity behind it? Why wouldn't we be happy with Canelo's next opponent? Why wouldn't the boxing purists be happy with Canelo's next opponent? I don't understand. I'm really confused with that comment made, the report that's circulating. But look, whoever Canelo fights, I think Canelo has proven that he is a guy that fights the best. So I'd like to think that it'll be someone very credible. Hopefully it's not a Yildirim or a Rocky Fielding or someone of that level. We want to see Canelo win with the top guys. We want to see, especially if Canelo's going to fight twice a year, I want to see Canelo fight the very best. I want to see him fight top fighters, I want to see him fight top names. I would love to see a Charlo fight. Love to see a Benavidez fight. Love to see an Andrade fight. Love to see a Beterbiev fight. Love to see a Bivol fight. But when I think about it, when I honestly think about it, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Bivol, because that's kind of a fight where I think people know that it's a tough fight for Canelo, but it's not one that a lot of people are excited about. It's not one where people are going to be that excited. Whereas I think people would prefer him to face Beterbiev. I think people would rather see that fight over a Bivol fight. I don't think people will be happy with Joe Smith. I was actually talking about it. Someone put up, I hope Joe Smith gets the opportunity against Canelo. He's come up the hard way. He's had struggles. The only problem is, I think Canelo will get called out. I think if Canelo fights Joe Smith, people will say Canelo's fighting the weaker champion. He's fighting an easier guy. You know, Canelo won't get the credit if he fights Joe Smith, even though he's a champion. I don't think Canelo will get credit for that fight. And people will say he's cherry picking, even though I think it's ridiculous, bizarre, embarrassing. Canelo's got one of the best resumes in boxing. But people, if he fights Joe Smith, I think people will say he's cherry picking. And that's just unfortunately what Canelo has to live with. You know, these boxing fans continually hating on him, saying that Canelo's cherry picking. So if Canelo fights Joe Smith, he's going to get a lot of criticism. I've actually made a comment about this on Facebook, that I don't want Canelo to fight Joe Smith because Canelo's just going to get a lot of rubbish for it. They're going to say he's cherry picking. They're going to say he's fighting nobody. You know, yeah, I want to see, personally, I want to see Canelo fight Beterbiev. That's my favorite fight. But a Jamal Charlo fight, yes please, bring me that. Even though I don't think it's a fight that Jamal Charlo wins, and it's probably a fight which we all know Canelo wins, but it's still a fight that I'd like to see. It's a fight that I want to see. But, you know, I'm just a bit, I don't understand. Canelo's next opponent will shock us all. Who? Like, who could it be? I don't think there'll be anyone that he could fight that would shock us. Maybe he decides to go to heavyweight and fight Anthony Joshua. Then he'll shock us, for sure. But I don't see that happening, to be brutally honest with you. So, yeah, I don't see him shocking me with fighting anybody, because even if it's Makabu, it's like we've already prepared for him to fight Makabu. So I think Canelo's earned the right, and he's done a lot in the sport. You know, Stephen makes a good point, but when you're boxing, we want you to see the fight the best, especially when you're a guy like Canelo and you're at the top. We want to see you fight the best consistently. And that's not necessarily good for a guy's health, because I feel like every now and then you have to take easy fights just for your body, just for your health. Because Canelo can't keep giving us hard fights after hard fights. He's been in the sport too long. He needs to take it easy as well. That's why I think fighting twice a year is more realistic. I don't think fighting 4 times in 11 months is practical for someone like Canelo, especially the level that he's fighting at. It's too much. It's too much strain on your body. The training camps are too much. I don't think, you know, putting that much strain on your body, because what you got to realize is, yeah, Canelo's probably training now. He's probably training now, but the training is not as intensive. When you're preparing for a fight, the training is very intensive. And that sort of back-to-back hard training is too much for your body at that level. It's too much. You'll get worn down. Your joints will start getting weaker. You'll start falling down. You'll start to diminish a lot quicker, because you know, your body just won't be able to take it for a long period of time. It's a bit like bodybuilding. The harder you train, right, eventually your body's going to start falling to bits as you get older. It's just not possible for your body to go through that, you know, hard training after hard training after hard training. Your body's going to start breaking down. So you need to give your body a rest, and you need to, as you get older, give your body a lot more time off, because your body needs it. Your body doesn't recover as quicker as you get older. Canelo's already had a lot of wear and tear because he's been around the sport for a very long time. It's not just the fights that he's had. It's the sparring. It's all the tough training camps. This man's had over 60 fights. That's not easy, man. That's not easy. That's a lot of training camps. That's a lot of hard training. He's 31 years of age. He's been doing this professionally since he was 15. That's that's 16 years. And he's still in his peak. He's still going. He's still getting better. And he's still probably going to fight another 5-6 years. So that needs to be managed properly. Not, you know, oh, fight 4 times in 11 months. You can't keep doing that. He did that because he felt he could do that. But if the competition is a little bit tougher, that would be very taxing on his body. Very taxing. And I get Canelo's a warrior and Canelo's all this and that, but it's not possible. Trust me, it's not possible for an athlete to keep doing that. So I think Canelo eventually will come back to fighting 2 times a year. I don't think he's gonna fight more than 2 times this year, personally. Especially if I think if I'm right at thinking the level that he's gonna be fighting at this year, I can't see him fighting those level of opponents, if you see what I mean. I can't see him fighting like Beterbiev, Joe Smith, and Bivol. He could do, but I just think those fights are a lot tougher and he needs to take a lot more rest. I don't think he can go in like back-to-back training camps, like maybe for Joe Smith, but like if he fights Joe Smith and Beterbiev in this year, that's fair enough. I'll be happy with that. But I just think he needs to take some time off, and he has taken some time off because his last fight was in November. And if he's going to fight in May, he's going to have a couple of months off. Like, I reckon a couple of months off, you know, is more than enough to recharge and get your body back. But you need to have some serious time off. When you're putting that body under that much stress, you need to have at least 1 month, 1.5 months off. You know, and I'm saying couple of weeks off, like give his body complete rest. You know, not like just his body. Because, man, trust me, man, I've trained before. I know how hard it is. And my training compared to Canelo's training is nothing. Like my training to him is probably like a rest. I remember I trained with a boxer, a former British champion, and he says the training that we do in the gym is like a rest to what his boxing training was. So you imagine the intensity that those guys, and we're not doing it easy in the gym, but you imagine the intensity that these boxers are training at and how hard it can be, how hard it is. And Canelo doing that for 11 months, having 4 fights where he's doing back-to-back training camps. Like, can you imagine how tough that would be? And then to perform at the highest level consistently, man, that's very difficult. And then, especially when you got guys like Beterbiev that you may have to fight, yeah, that's too much. That's too much. Like, obviously, if Canelo was fighting guys like Golovkin, right, in his prime, he wouldn't be able to fight 4 fights in 11 months. It'd be too much for him, you know, because that would be too much for his body. Obviously, the level of opponents weren't at that level, so he was able to do that. He was able to fight for, because Callum Smith, Billy Joe, and Caleb Plant aren't Gennady Golovkin. They're not Beterbiev either. So if he was fighting someone like that, then he wouldn't be able to fight 4 times in 11 months. Do you see what I mean? So it just depends on who you're fighting. Obviously, the tougher the fight, the more time you're going to need off, because the chances are the more damage you're probably going to take during the fight. You know, Canelo took a lot of shots in the Golovkin fight. Both of those fights. They weren't easy fights. They were tough fights. Hard fights. But these fights that he had with Callum Smith, Billy Joe, Caleb Plant, he hardly got touched in those fights. Yildirim, he hardly got touched in those fights. He came out of those fights with just fresh. Like, he could go for a jog after. Like, it was that easy for him. But not all fights are going to be that, especially now that he's moving up weight class. Not all fights are going to be that easy. They're going to become tougher. They're going to become harder. They're going to become more taxing on the body. Remember, he's also getting older. Your body doesn't recover as fast. So I'm interested, man. I'm interested to see who Canelo's going to fight next, as always. He's the biggest star in the sport, without question. So every time he fights, you know, there's a lot of attention on his fights. But yeah, I do think he should take it easy. I don't think he should fight 4 times or 3 times. I think he should fight twice like he used to do. Because I just think that the light heavyweight division's no joke. Those guys are big, strong, and they're more skilled, some of those fighters. I don't think he can do what he did in the super middleweight division. I think he needs to take it a little bit more easier. Give himself a little bit more rest. You know, there's no rush in becoming undisputed. He's only 31. You know, so, you know, he can do it. He can do it in 1.5 years, not a problem. But yeah, leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who do you think Canelo Alvarez is going to be Canelo Alvarez's next fight? Apparently, his next fight is going to shock us all. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.